goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Welcome to Perspective, a podcast for wedding creatives, where we sit down, often with a special guest, and talk about our many years of experience in the wedding industry so you can learn from us and grow your wedding business. And who are we? Well, I am Simon, and this is Bedhead Greg. And together, we are Cinemate Films, two Scottish-based wedding filmmakers who love nothing more than drinking coffee and talking to others in the wedding industry. And we've teamed up with Photography Farm to bring you 6 special episodes of this podcast in anticipation of Thrive 2024, an all-star wedding photography workshop taught by 6 phenomenal mentors. This episode is, of course, sponsored by With Jack, but I will get onto that a little bit later in the show. Greg, who are we talking to?
Oh, that's very scary.
It was Halloween last night, so yes, I'm still in the
We are talking to Joy Zamora. Hello, Joy. How are you?
Hey, Joy.
Oh, good. I'm just amazed listening to you guys. This is so cool. Really good.
Well, thank you very much. Are you comfortable? Do you have yourself a coffee or a beverage, something to consume while you're?
I have a coffee and ibuprofen. So I think I'm ready for it. I think I'm good. Good to go.
So how was your party last night?
It was really good. I was surrounded by girls, which is fine. You know, my wife was there, but everyone was women over there. She did a makeup of me that making me look like dead.
Okay.
People were asking me, what's your costume? And I said, I am a self-employed Spanish photographer because this is the face of a self-employed wedding photographer in Spain. And because, yesterday I just go to the taxis again and they phone me and they say, hey, Joy, we are going to raise your taxes. And I was like, okay, that's nice. That's really sweet from you. So I think it was a perfect costume for that kind of day.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
And I also had a Halloween party, but mine was more child friendly.
Oh,
because I have 3 kids, so we were doing the trick or treating, and we had invited other families over to the house. So that was.
Had you gone all
fun.
out again and decorated outside?
Yeah, we had. It was. I was going to say it wasn't as crazy as last year, but actually it probably was. We had smoke machines and lights and, projectors doing things. And, it was good. It's good. You know what? Smoke and lights.
That's always a good thing.
If you're running on a budget, smoke and lights, man. Smoke and lights. That's how to do it.
Smoke and mirrors sometimes.
Smoke and mirrors. But yeah, Joy, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, for people who might not have heard of who you are.
Okay, so I'm Joy Zamora. I'm a wedding photographer based on the south of Spain, even though I rarely work around here. I think people think I am too expensive for this market. I also an educator. I have my own academy for photographers and videographers, and I try to approach like a really holistic way to teach. Like it's not just about the marketing. I wanted them to learn a lot of things. And mostly I do destination wedding. That was my goal when I started in this business, and I achieved it. Like it was quite amazing to get it for the first time. I remember the first destination wedding still, and it was amazing. So that's what I do. I travel around the world shooting beautiful people all over, and then educate some people that just listen to me sometimes. I don't know why they do it, but they do it. That's great.
It's because of that glorious mustache, that's why.
I think it's that. That's a huge part of it. That's my whole brand.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's not bad. So yeah, that's me basically.
Awesome.
Busy guy.
Is there like, I mean, I know you say you don't work in Spain too often, but do you have a community of like-minded creatives that you can like hang out with, or?
Oh yeah.
There is?
Yeah. So this is actually, I mean, if I advocate for something, it's always for community. I think that's the biggest thing. Like if everyone knows me, it's like I always talk about community and how you should collaborate with others in order to grow. There is no other shortcuts for me. That's the best one. And I do, and I always say this, like if you have 3-4 people that love you as a person and as a creative, and that's your hardcore group of people that are going to support you and be with you when the bad time comes. And I do have them. So it's like actually 2 other photographers, another woman photographer as well. They are like family. And we have actually that dynamic of a family. So we get angry with each other, we fight, we don't talk to each other for a month, then we come back. It's amazing because they have been with me for the 10 years that I have been in the industry. It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
And do you guys like shoot together, or is it just you have your own businesses, your own brands, and you're just supporting each other like that?
Yeah, it's more like we have our own businesses, each of us. We started doing workshops. This is a kind of crazy story. So imagine 4 photographers, 3 guys and 1 woman, different corners of Spain. We don't know each other. And then one day, I don't know what happened, but we got into this like trance, and we decided to contact each other, say, we should do a workshop, and I don't know where this was coming out. And then we did it in the desert in Spain. It was amazing. We put together a lot of people, a beautiful community there. I said, oh my God, we can be good at this. And then we got invited to Mexico, and we went to the border, to the most dangerous town in Mexico, to run a workshop. We didn't know it was the most dangerous place in Mexico. We figured out when we got there. And yeah, basically the good thing about working with creatives that are not exactly like you is that you get a lot of perspective. And that's the best thing, you know, like they told you, oh, you're getting old in your photography. This is not good anymore. Or that's not you. You're trying to follow a trend. And it's like, fuck, this hurts, but it's worth it.
It's definitely good to have that brutal honesty. And that's where them feeling like a family comes in as well. They know they can be brutal.
Exactly. I think like that's what happened like with tyrants and dictatorship people. It's like if you just have people around you that tell you how good you are, it's like, oof, it's not really good. You don't progress, you don't advance. So I want people that are cruel with me and make me cry. I love those people.
Did you just compare yourself to a tyrant? Is that what I just heard there?
Yeah, probably. I just want my little group of people to say things about me, and I can handle that. But everyone else should be followed by my rule.
I love it.
That's it.
What did you learn from putting on your first workshop, and especially in Mexico? Because it's not exactly local.
No, it's not. I think the first learning is like things are easier than you think, and that can come out like weirdly, but. I always about action over perfection. I understand perfection, but I don't think I will get ever perfect in anything I do. Like I won't, basically. So I learned that like if you have the mentality and the idea and the passion to do something, even if you are not fully prepared, you should do it. You should do it because there will be always people that want to work with you, help you out, listen to you. Just be there. Actually, sometimes, like we put so much pressure in ourselves, but this is about having fun and testing yourself and getting out of your comfort zone. So I learned like with so little resources and experience, you can impact a lot of people in a good way. So it was amazing to see like that glitch on the matrix. It was like, oh my God, like, can I do this for longer and just everywhere? and you can. You can.
So when was it that you did your first workshop in Mexico? Was that like a good few years ago, or? Yeah,
this was 2016.
Yeah,
2016.
And how's the educating going since then?
Oh, it's getting crazy. Actually, now like I am in this point where and this is always a funny story, but I don't know how it's in Scotland or to people that are listening in the places, but. This industry can be toxic sometimes. I think we can all agree with certain people in some points, there are egos and people get angry or whatever.
Yeah.
I felt for a long time like really quite lonely. Like I didn't adapt to the community I had around. So since that happened, I decided just to start building something new because what I saw around in certain places, not everywhere, but it was kind of, hiding, too protective. People wasn't open to talk about everything. And I said, okay, I'm going to build something that adapt more to that, like free to speech. I want people to help each other instead of stabbing each other because someone stole a wedding to someone else or stupid things like that.
Yeah.
And now I have a massive community that is outside my control now. It's alive, and I actually realized that the other day, and this is something I'm really proud of. A couple of relationships started in the core of the community, like actual loving relationship between people. So yeah, I think I am really close to build my own cult. That's kind of I've seen it when there are relationships happening. There is the next step. I'm gonna build my cult. I'm gonna get rich and die young.
We promise there's no dark undertones to this podcast episode for sure. We're all nice people here. Joy, on your website, I think it was on your website, you mentioned that you had a love for comic books, right?
Oh yeah.
What characters, what stories were you kind of drawn to?
Okay, so when I was a child, I was obsessed with manga and anime. So I think Dragon Ball was the first one, the introduction to everything. That Dragon Ball was like, I was literally obsessed. It was too much. And then I think I never stopped being a child ever, and I won't ever, neither. I started getting comics mostly when I watched the Christopher Nolan Batman, the Batman Begins. I got obsessed with Batman again.
Yeah.
And the good thing was that then I had money, because when I was a child, obviously, you don't have money, you're gonna buy anything. But then when I watched this film, I had money, and I saw, oh my God, I'm gonna get hardcore in comics. And now I have a collection like around 4,000 comics, I think.
Wow.
It is, something like that. Yeah, it got crazy.
Any like really rare issues or?
Yeah, I have rare Batman first edition in Spanish. In English, it's impossible, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to spend all my money on that. I have a special edition of some books, signed ones as well. Yeah, I got a lot. I got a lot. So if I had to stay with one, it's obviously Batman. I think it's the coolest superhero for me. But I recommend people to get into really, how would you call it? Like independent comics. Like obviously the big brands like Marvel, DC, that's beautiful. But that's the first level. Then you can get deep into all the editorials, and they're amazing. They're amazing.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the artist that I fell in love with. It was the... he wrote Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
I forgot the name as well.
Oh my God, bro.
I know. They did the film after.
Yeah, but I fell in love with all of his all of his comics. There's one called Seconds, I believe, and it's just I don't know. It's just kind of a surreal. It's really
so cool.
But
the thing that is happening with the comic world is like I feel that they are really free. When in cinema, usually we are seeing, I mean, it's everything out there, no? But it's really hard to take risky decision because making a film is really expensive.
Yeah.
But a comic nowadays, you can do it on an iPad if you have the skills. And they are really crazy topics, like really... the misconception that people think that comics are for young guys, it's like, there are some. But I wouldn't let my kids in the future read the comics that I have in my room because they are bizarre. So yeah, there is a lot of that.
Yeah. It was Brian Lee O'Malley, by the way, just for anyone who's interested. Talking about movies, you also wrote that you could watch specific films hundreds of times for its cinematography. What films are you drawn to in terms of the visuals, the looks, the aesthetics?
I mean, I love Asian films. I feel like they have a completely different way to show things, and I like the rhythm because it's so different to us. I love all the trilogy. I don't know if you have watched Old Boy, the Korean one.
Oh, classic!
It's just my favorite film ever. Everything from Terrence Malick as well. I highly recommend it visually. Like everything that guy is, that Terrence Malick is in another level visually, I would say. And obviously I love Denis Villeneuve. It's just too good. I mean, I watched Arrival and Blade Runner, and
Yeah.
Blade Runner for me, the new one was a shitty film. I didn't love it, but the cinematography was amazing. I mean, it didn't.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, the idea wasn't great, but the cinematography was insane. I sometimes I get back to the classic, like, oh my god, I'm gonna forget the name. Stanley Kubrick. It's like Barry Lyndon. Like, you know, when I study in photography, I will rewatch Barry Lyndon because of the use of natural light, and I was like, how this guy did this? Like, I cannot get it. I just don't get it. But now I am really into Korean film, like Parasites. I love how they compose the everything. Is just sick.
I've
It's
still
beautiful.
not watched Parasites.
Yeah, neither have I.
even when it was winning all the awards and stuff.
No, it's
Still,
I mean, I think it's the perfect introduction for people to Korean films.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a little bit more American way. It's still Asian, but it has a lot of American stuff. But yeah, it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's really good.
Man, I used to love. Did you ever watch Battle Royale?
Oh yeah,
Oh man.
yeah. It's based on a comic.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Like everything good.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, talking about comics, like you said that, you know, there's certain stories and characters that you love, and then with the movies, there's that kind of visual aesthetic. Like, do you think that these influences shaped your trajectory in photography?
I want to think so. I always said that comics are a huge part of the inspiration that I get, the same way that people get fashion books or, you know, anything, architecture, whatever. I think I use comics as a way of composing and also mostly for the storytelling. Because at the end of the day, like, we are telling the story by images, you know. So I think the comic creators are amazing creating stories just with drawing. The storytelling is so important. So I get a lot of information just to know how to communicate more with my photos. So mostly when you create a post that you have to tell a story, I really follow the path of certain comics that I love. And it's like, oh, I love how this guy tells a story with images. I'm going to try to recreate that with photo. And, you know, the thing, again, the freedom that comics have, you see situations and you see positions and life situations that are really hard to see in real life. So it's like, okay, if I want to get a little bit out of my comfort zone, I just take a look to the comic before the shooting, and something always came out. So hopefully the answer is yes. Hopefully.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, let's dive further back into the origin story of Joy Zamora. Like, what?
Oh God.
How did you get started? We've talked about the education, but how did you get started in wedding photography specifically?
So, long version or short version? I mean, let's go for the medium version.
Go for the medium version.
Yeah, medium version. So basically, I was studying law, basically. I was finishing the degree. I was terrible at it. I didn't like it. I hate it. My parents almost forced me to do it. You know, it's going to be a good career. You're going to be a lawyer. You're going to make a lot of money. No. Spoiler alert, no, that's not going to happen. And then I moved to Italy to study the last year, and I bought a camera there. I started getting into concept for street photography. I was basically shooting street photography in Italy. And then I won like 2 different contests of street photography, and I was like, ooh, am I any good at this? Then come back to Spain and told my parents, you know, you pay for 7 years of my degree, right? And they were like, yes. I said, okay, you know what? I want to be a photographer, a wedding photographer. Because by that time I already follow a few big wedding photographers, mostly from the US, you know, like Field Chested, all these big people.
Yep.
And I said, oh, they have a really good lifestyle, or looks like that. I want to travel. I want to make money. I want to know cool people around the world. So by that time, I just met the person that is my wife now. And she had a job. I didn't have a job. I was 27 years old, and I was feeling as a loser. Literally like a loser. Like, I wasn't bringing any euro to the house. And I just thought, okay, if I keep this path, my girlfriend at that time is going to leave me, because this is nothing. So then I wrote to a friend on Facebook. I said, hey man, I like your photography. We know each other just online. I said, do you want to build a company with me? He said, yes. I have the wedding of a friend coming out. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's build a logo. let's do a website and let's start shooting. And the first year, that was 2014, the end of the year. 2015, I think we shoot like 70 weddings. So it was kind of from 0 to 100, like so fast. Obviously, crazy wedding, terrible weddings, short budget weddings, dangerous weddings, overwork. But it was the best university for us. Like we learned a lot. So that was the start. That was the start, basically.
So, not to get too much into your relationship, but like, we're kind of a unique breed, us creative people. How does your, other than dragging you to Halloween parties, what does your partner do, and does she understand the creative mind?
Well, that's the best part. So my wife, when we started, she was a English teacher. She's from Manchester.
Okay.
And then I started shooting weddings. Okay. And then I went to this beautiful venue close to Cordoba where we live. I said, "Oh, Opie," because she's called Opie. You should be doing weddings somehow. Like, these people have no idea how to do events, and there's something there. There is a market out there. And she said, all right. And she has some experience working on events in London and all that. And then out of nowhere, she became one of the best wedding planners in Spain. So we are in the same industry. She gave me work.
Nice.
It's all perfect. Yeah, it was perfect. So she understands, because I work with her a lot. We work together a lot. And I think actually that has been a huge part of our success as a couple, as a business people. Like, we push each other a lot. This question is always asked, no? Like, people ask you when you're a wedding photographer, oh, how did you get in touch with wedding planners? And how did you get recommended by wedding planners? Like, you marry one. And that's the way you do it. And you help them grow. And then that's the way. That's the way.
Oh, man, I love that. Yeah. Not your typical advice, marry wedding planner, but
yeah, unconventional.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned street photography earlier on when you moved to Italy, once you bought your camera. Did that, had you done photography at all beforehand, or was this you getting to grips with what photography is and then getting to hone your skills on the streets?
Yeah, that was exactly the case. I had no idea how to shoot, and it's funny because I think I was one of the first users of Instagram. I always say this, I don't know if it's true, but It was 2011 when I was using it, and no one was using it. And the thing is, I only had one camera, and this camera was an iPod, not an iPad, not an iPhone, an iPod.
An iPod.
Just to listen to me. Yeah,
amazing.
iPod.
I used to love
an
that.
iPod. I love the one with camera, the first one with camera.
Yeah.
And I shoot everywhere. Street photography, and then I got obsessed. So I think I love the fact that I was learning everything, because I always say this: if you have the passion, the technical stuff is gonna come. Like, you're gonna control it eventually. And the good thing about street photography, which is really helpful for shooting weddings, is like, nothing happened as it's planned. Like, if you are in the street, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if the light is going to change, if that woman is going to fall, anything. So I learned a lot by shooting on the street. I got out of my comfort zone by getting closer to strangers, composing fast, figuring out how to manage the camera fast, all the adjustment and composition. And then from there, I was learning everything. I was watching YouTube. I am a huge fan of education. I try to educate myself as much as possible in every single way. And then it's just, I do feel like when you pass a period of time when you feel like you are not worthy of anything, and that happened to me for 7 years with the law degree, and you find something that you are good at and that you love, it's like that energy gives you, a push. I still, 10 years later, I still have it. Like, I'm really passionate about what I do. I love it. I want to learn more. It's so much fun. So if you find that passion, it's like, it's gonna happen.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. Was there any particular moment or image that you can recall having taken doing street photography that you thought was particularly influential for you in your development?
I think there was one. I shot it here in Cordoba, and it was a homeless person that I saw often on the street, and I have talked to him a few times, but not big conversation, just a little bit. And I was working to the city, and there was actually this contest about street photography. So I just went out with my camera really early in the morning, and I saw this guy was really quiet. He will almost not talk at all. And then we were in this beautiful part of my city. Everything was like foggy in the morning, really early, no people, and just him. And then I crossed the corner and I heard someone singing. I'm talking about 6 in the morning, 6:30, something like that. And it's this homeless guy walking around a beautiful place and singing. And I was like, oh my God, like, I don't think anyone see this ever. Like he's not seen like this way. And the voice was beautiful. So I took a photo of him just singing and crossing the corner with a cross. It was a cross there. It was a beautiful composition. And I think that photo changed a lot for me. It also changed the way that I shoot people on the street, because I think for a long time, I was shooting photos of people just because of the, it's hard to say, but for example, I will shoot homeless people because obviously it's really dramatic, and everyone who see the photo is like, wow, and the more dramatic the photo, almost the best. But then when I saw that glance to this guy live, I decided I didn't want to take that kind of photos anymore. Like I was like, okay, what is the meaning of the photos that I'm trying to do? It's just to create this wow effect on the people, or do I actually want to tell a story or trying to point out to a position, a situation? So that photo changed me a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. So does that translate into like your wedding work when you're trying to look for specific characters or emotions? Does that come into play?
Yeah, it's literally, I realized like I was really cold shooting. I was I wasn't thinking about the person. I was thinking about the composition, about the lie, about the only the cold part of the photography, not the meaning behind. And there is something that I cannot do anymore. Like I just kind of shoot couples or people with no purpose. Like I know it sounds weird, but when I go to my weddings, I do really want to deep into my couples and understand how they are. I don't have anything in mind. I sometimes people say, oh, but you don't plan your photos. It's like, no, I don't want to know anything. I just go there and I want to feel the flow. I want to feel the insecurities of my couple. I want to feel the powers that they have and the relationship they have. And I don't even know how to explain it, but for me, the most magical part about this job is when you have that connection with them and you are just a witness of a special moment, and you just take photos in the best beautiful possible way. But like I think Instagram for a long time, it was a lot about, okay, amazing couple, amazing landscape, simple composition. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. It's just about the place and how cool the couple is, no? And I did that for a long time as well. Like I'm not gonna lie. But then I realized, I want to do something more, at least for me. I don't know if people are gonna see it the same way that I do, but I want to tell my own story for my couples.
I totally understand that, and I think as filmmakers on our end, there's a lot of focus on how to take a shot, and there's all these tools, tripods, monopods, gimbals, drones, and there's a lot of thought behind, let's just make this movement or do something, but there's not many people who remove themselves from the equipment and just try and do exactly what you just said to try and connect with people. And, sometimes I feel like I'm so relieved to shoot handheld, because that is what, getting rid of all the bump, all the gear, that's what it allows us to do. But photography is many things to many people. But in the early stages, like what was it for you?
Wow, I mean, photography for me was a lifesaver. It was literally everything. And, like, again, I know this is definitely a perfect example of problems of the first world. I'm studying a degree that I don't love. I am fully aware of that. And I'm actually really glad that that's the worst part of my life. Like that means that my life has been pretty good, no? But at the end of the day, you just cannot compare with your own life. You cannot compare yourself with other people. You can just that's perspective. So photography came out to give me, I always say this. I don't know if it happened to you guys, but I still feel that I am a child inside. I don't want to believe I am an old person. I don't want to believe that.
Yeah.
And I like my play, my games, my having fun. I love it. I love it. So I realized that my life was going sideways and I was neglecting everything I wanted as a child. Everything I wanted, I imagined, I wasn't doing it. And photography was the perfect definition of the kind of lifestyle I wanted. So it was traveling, connecting to people, doing something creative that I think is amazing. Also something techie because you use gear and cameras and computers, and I always love that shit as well. And it was putting everything, and I think it came out so natural, like the way of communicating with photography. So I dive in bad time. Like I was obsessed. I was watching every morning. I will wake up and go through the Magnum webpage, analyzing. Okay, I'm gonna analyze today Cartier-Bresson. Okay, boom, boom, boom. The week obsessed with the guy. Then next week another one. And it's the thing that happened every time that we get into photography. The camera was always with me. I was taking photos of everything. I was just. It was therapy, basically. It was therapy. And I own so much to this job that I'm so happy to educate other people, to stay extra hours with my couples. I don't care. I'm just grateful, honestly. And I remember this perfectly. When I made the first 250 euros because of photos I sold, because my sister asked me, my friends and I want to do a Christmas calendar. Can you come and take a funny photo of each of us? And there will be 12 months and that will be the calendar. And I was, I have an idea for each of you. 12 months, 12 idea. It was ridiculous. But I remember to be thinking, how come I can buy a camera for 700 euros and just today I made 250. If I multiply this, I'm gonna be rich. Basically, that was my theory. And it was magic. It was magic just to see that you could create memories and make money at the same time.
Yeah,
basically.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Talking about trying to make money, if you like this perspective episode, you can follow us on YouTube. And don't get me wrong, YouTube does not pay us any money. It's brutal out there, people. It's brutal. Brutable? Yeah, fine. So hit that subscribe button at youtube.com/@perspective by Cinemate, please, because I have 3 children and they need fed.
Joy, we talk to a lot of creatives and photographers, filmmakers on this podcast. A lot of a common theme is they see themselves as introverts, and I believe you're no different. You see yourself as an introvert, which some people might find surprising, but you see it as like a superpower. So can you dive into a bit more about what about this personality trait you see as an advantage for you?
Yeah, I definitely have been introvert all my life. It still is. I still am in certain circumstances, like depending of the crowd. But firstly, I think introverts, we tend to look more than talking usually. So photography is a lot about looking and watching and just analyzing. I think if you pay enough attention, you see traits on people. You feel like you know how they are, how they move, how they react to comments. So the more quiet you are, the more learning you get from people. I think there is a photographer for every person. And I don't want to be the photographer for people with too much energy, because I am not like that. If you want me to dance, cry, jump, get in the bride in the back, running, hey, cry, I'm not that guy. I want my things slow, my coffee hot, and the chill time. So, the fact that I'm an introvert makes me connect a lot with introvert couples, and I can shoot an extrovert couple as well, but I do attract more the kind of people that have the same energy that I do. I I have always trying to analyze who is my client, and I never get to put a clear category on them. But when you analyze them, they are people that are introvert and that they value a lot the inner world, and they're reflective, and they have this aura of melancholy and all that. And I love it. Honestly, I love it. We talk the same language. And the crazy thing, I think we all do it as a photographer, it's true that we wear a mask when we are in a wedding. Like, I am not this outspoken normally. Like at home, I am quiet, moody, reading books, reading comics. But then obviously when you are there, like you transform. And that's an amazing thing, because as an introvert, to be able of being the guy who everyone is looking. Imagine, I don't know if this happened to you, but you know, when you had to do a family photo and there's 200 people staring at you, it's like, oh my God, this is a nightmare for me. I don't want to be looked by 200 people at the same time. But you grow. And the beautiful thing is that I don't think we cannot be categorized as an introvert or extrovert. I think it's about situations. And in some situation, I can be a shark, and in some situation, I'm a little fish. So I think it's a superpower. We had to use it to take advantage of those people that are going to connect better because our kind of energy, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How, if there's someone out there who's sort of feeling held back by their introvertness, is there any advice you could give them to sort of lean into it and use it as a superpower? I
would say, if you're an introvert, there will be categories of introverts. There will be some people that find really hard just to talk to someone else, and that's going to be a problem in this business, because you know, a huge part of the wedding photography business is selling yourself as well. And if you are too introvert, you're gonna come out like a widow, and that's sad to say, but it is. And people want someone that is trustfully experienced. So I think the best thing, I never did it, but I did a lot of. I think for me, my process was, I did so many workshops, so I put myself in the situation of how to talk in front of a lot of people, and that gave me a lot of confidence. But obviously, that's just my case. For people that are introvert, I would say go to theater and try to practice, play a little bit, and getting a little bit outside your comfort zone. Be playful. Even if you play board games like mimicking and everything like that, just do it slowly at home. You're not going to become the most outspoken person in the world, but it's just working your trust in yourself. So you can be introvert, you can be serious, and you can be charismatic at the same time. And I think reading a few books about communication, or even getting a mentor about communication, that would be helpful, because it changes everything. It changes everything. Like being introvert, fine, good, superpower, and be reflective as well. I think be reflective as well. Like you have the superpower of taking more time than other people to listen. So we always claim, oh yeah, I'm going to be the best photographer from my couple. I care so much about you. But that's not true. A lot of people don't care. They care till they get paid. When they get paid, it's enough. So I think introvert people have the opportunity to, you know, really care. And that's going to make you succeed in some way, because clients, couples are not stupid, and they will appreciate the extra effort, the extra attention. So that's, for example, a way to use it.
Yeah. And you definitely, I mean, you were spot on when you said that there's a photographer for everyone. So yeah, if you are introverted, don't feel that you need to be high energy all the time, because
exactly,
like Joy just said, there's clients for everyone. Talking about the challenges of business then, especially if you're an introvert, have you felt that has been an issue for you? Because I know like things like because it's quite a person business, a person focused business. You know, you've got, well, business in general, you know, networking and all that kind of stuff, and selling yourself. But you've also got these two people in front of you. You know, getting married if it's a wedding, and you're trying to capture some genuine emotion. And I know that can also be quite hard. So how have you been able to navigate such a person-focused business as an introvert?
I think I made a strength of every single part of it. Like It just, for example, with my couples, I have extra time to listen to them. I create, I think an introvert is a person that spends a lot of time in their own head. Okay.
Okay. So
So you're always thinking inside. And what I do, and I have always done, is creating stories in my head. This, that, and that's what I do with my couples now. Like when people tell me, "Oh, how you get natural photos or something that look a little bit more dreamy or whatever," it's like I'm telling them stories. I'm telling them all the time stories. I don't tell them, "Oh, go here, go there." It's the way that I use it. Like it's all my inner world. I try to put it out there, and I try to make it real. And I try to. It's really weird. You will see a shooting of mine, and sometimes I'm saying really weird things. I don't know how people actually don't run away. Like, but it's still playful. Again, like I am a really weird introvert, just to mention, because I'm an introvert, but then I think I become the better self when I actually alone with my couple. Like that's my favorite time. If I had a videographer, I'm gonna do a great job for sure. But if I am alone and I have them to that, then I feel safe because I have built a good relationship with them, and I feel like I am with a really good friends. And then I usually use that time for them to be really present. I tell them really weird because I feel everyone is an actor. We all lie in some point on our day, on our life, or whatever. We all lie. And I think lie is the first step of interpretation. Like we can play something. So I said, my couples, you are no models, but you could be actors. You could be, because we all interpret. So what I want you today is that I'm going to recreate this new universe for you too. And I just want you to follow the crazy stuff that I'm going to tell you. And sometime I remember this couple, we were in the cliffs. It was beautiful light, beautiful. They were looking amazing, everything good. But I felt the photo was too cold. I felt that extra emotion, it wasn't there. And then I said, okay, guys, sit down there. And I always talking to them. And I said, okay, guys, like, how much was the longest time that you were without seeing each other? And they told me, oh, no, it was like 3 months. It was so sad. And I said, okay. And then I said, okay, well, can you see the sun? And they said, yeah. Okay, I want you to sit down there. So I was preparing the photo, composing the photo, but they didn't realize, oh, just go there, sit down, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, okay, guys, I want you just to imagine that you got into the TV a few hours, an hour ago at home. You watch the TV and they said that there is an asteroid coming to Earth and we are all dying. It's 24 hours. It came out of nowhere. It's coming out of nowhere. There is no way that no one can do anything. It's just the end. But lucky enough, you're together and you are away. There is no family around here. There is no one. It's just you two. So this is your last sunset. What would you do? And then I get out. I get out of the scene. And, no matter, obviously, you are not a model, you are not an actor, but you put the people in that situation. And then I remember I had a speaker, I put really dramatic music from Hans Zimmer to make everything more epic. And they were emotional. And they were really, really emotional. Like, actually, she cried. And I obviously get quiet. I just try to be a ninja and try to give them the space, wait a little bit till I take photos. So, we can use a lot of crazy. And I think because I always, I am not outspoken. I am not this kind of guy that are always with friends around. I have a bigger inner world. And I use that when the opportunity came.
Yeah.
Basically.
Joy, I have never heard anyone do that before. I'm gonna steal it. If you're okay with it, I'm gonna steal it from my next wedding. Do
it. If you had a good sunset, and the more dramatic you get, the best.
Yeah.
The best. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, because we've had other photographers who, they do something similar where they sit down and they set the scene and they try and just let, like you said, like a scene affect their mood, and when they are affected, then they kind of portray a certain emotion. But I've never heard.
And at that point, the photographer just steps back and quietly starts shooting, and you're like, oh, that worked. Ooh.
Yeah, it worked. It worked.
Love
so
it.
A lot of photographers struggle with the business side of things. So how how do you see yourself as a business person? Like, have you came across any struggles being a bit more of a creative? Have you struggled with anything in the business side of things?
I think I love the business side as much as the photography, and that is a good thing. Some people don't like it. I feel like as an educator, I push myself. They said, no, if you want to be a piano teacher, you only have to be one lesson ahead of your student. And I always try to be a few lessons ahead of the student, which means that if I want to teach marketing, I had to test everything with myself first and see that if it's working or not. So I put in a lot of time, money, and resources into everything related with my business. I like to be constantly innovating, constantly learning. I don't think that what I know is everything I had to know. I'm always, and I think an important thing is also to learn from completely different fields that are not related with photography. I love communication. I think it's incredibly important nowadays for us. I love personal brand. I love online marketing. I love a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I'm a curious person. My business is my baby, and I always say this: it's my baby, but I want my baby to get me rich. And so, but it's all connected. It's all connected because I said before I am a child, and a child usually is spoiled, and they want toys, and I want toys and fun. So I need money to sustain that. And I think there is a huge conversation about creators or creatives saying, "Oh, this is my art. Money is not the important thing. It's my art, And if I am a really good artist, it's almost like you're not going to be a good business person, or the other way around. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're a good creative person, you should be a really creative business person as well, because it's the way of doing it. So I found challenges all the time. Like, for example, to become a destination wedding, it's not easy. It's not easy. There's a lot of competition. Just getting to certain clients, a specific niche. Sometimes it's hard, but I always find a way. Like, I'm really stubborn. So there will be obviously always challenges and things that I want to do, but that's what keep me awake. I think now, for example, it's a really weird time because I feel like there is 2 or 3 trends coming up at the same time. People are a little bit confused about the path to follow in the wedding industry if they want to go luxury. Some people that were more in the boho universe are not feeling great. It's like, it's trend, and it's also after COVID still. So I see a lot of conversation and a lot of question. But I mean, that's the good thing about this business, to keep it alive. It's like constantly changing. So yeah.
Cool. You mentioned branding, and I think finding your own unique voice as a brand is really important. How did you go about finding your own voice and then establishing that in a business that it is saturated, like you mentioned?
Yeah, I think the only way that we had to make ourselves a different is to be a better person, a better product yourself. Like, I had this thing the other day and it really hit me. I'm probably obsessed with self-development books and these kind of shitty things. I'm like a drug addict for that right now. But some stuff is good. The other day they were asking a guy, but why everyone is so busy trying to get content viral, when if you are viral, every piece of content that you will create will get viral because you are viral. So I think the main strategy is that if you are not the kind of content that people want to see or are going to feel in love with, and if you see yourself in the mirror and the way that you communicate, the way that you talk, the way that you behave with other people, if you look at the mirror and that person is not exactly making you fall in love, you had to change yourself. Because for me, nowadays, with that many people out there doing incredible photos, like, I think photos are no longer our service. It's no longer that. It's yourself who is going to make the difference. Why do you pay €1,000,000 if you want to have the Rolling Stone in the house, when you can have a band that plays the Rolling Stone, but they are 100 times cheaper. It's because you want the Rolling Stone. You want the fucking Rolling Stone. And probably they can even sing worse now because they are old as fuck. But you want them because they're fucking Rolling Stone. So that's what we are. It's our brand nowadays. And I think people are really, 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 really protective about themselves in social media, and they want to be always correct. They want to say always the right thing. And I think nowadays it's the right and perfect time just to be who you want to be and create that character. And I have been creating my brand according to the kind of person that I want to be and the image that I want to portray of myself. And that attract the people, that attract the right people. It's everything, you know. It's like if I share a story, I love beauty, I cannot use a fucking Comic Sans typography. Don't use it. Like I just, you know, it's like, okay, every single detail is important for me in the branding. And I think there are so many ways of communicating, and it's just a massive part of our brand. It's so much fun. So if you build yourself, and I see these photographers, some of them are really good. They just put their life out there, and just by looking at their life, you want to hire them, no matter the photos they take, because you get some kind of connection, human connection.
Yeah.
I want to talk more about your work, specifically like how you do what you do and the things you look for at weddings. But before we move on to that, I want to know what your deep why is for doing photography. Like what is it that drives you now?
First answer will be money. Second one will be money as well. Third one, no, it's a joke. Obviously money is out there. I think the biggest thing for me to keep shooting wedding photography and keep doing is human connections. The opportunities that I was able to get with my couples and everything that gave me, you never imagine when you get into this business that you're gonna travel to the places that you're gonna travel, connect the people that you found in the way. That's for me the most important thing. It's just a vehicle to find incredible people out there. And it's how they say, like, the people around you define who you are, right?
Yeah.
And I get to know people that enhance my life a lot, and people that I think if I were not a photographer I would have never met in my life at all. So that is a massive gift for me. Yeah.
Hey, I'm Ashley from With Jack. I'm one of the sponsors of the Perspective podcast. With Jack helps to keep photographers in business by supporting them financially and legally if they have problems with a client or they make a mistake in their work. We've all had that fear of our CF card or our hard drive failing and losing important photos. You can find out more at withjack.co.uk. Head over there and find out how we can help you be a confident creative.
Tell us about your style, your work, like how, like if there's any specific words that you would attach to the images that you create, or any particular, thing that you would describe them as. Tell me.
I think that's probably the hardest question that you can ask to a photographer.
Yeah.
But, I wanna see myself a cinematic wedding photographer. I have this not theory but purpose when I shoot a wedding, that is I want at least a few photos that if it will be the cover of the film of your life. So imagine you're getting married, it's like, okay, when people see at least this photo, they're gonna feel that that's like the cover of the film of your life. And it's spectacular and it's dramatic and there's feeling out there. So I will say it's something like emotional cinematic photography.
All right.
That's why I try to go for. I love the word editorial now because it's trendy and it's good for SEO, but I wouldn't describe myself as an editorial wedding photographer. I want people to kiss, and editorial wedding photographer, the couple are too separated. I would say that because, highly influenced by a writer that is Haruki Murakami. He's a Japanese writer. He's amazing. And in his book, he always makes the reality with something really surreal. And I want my photos to look a little bit like that for my couples. Like, yeah, this is your wedding day, but there is something that is a little bit more poetic or a little bit more dreamy or oniric in a way. Like, I don't want it to take it too seriously and make it look too real. For me, it's more important that, it's emotional and it's dreamy and it's cinematographic and it could be confused by the frame of a film. If that happened, that's perfect. I had done my job well.
Yeah. I think emotional cinematography, like as an outsider viewing your work, I think that sums it up. Like that's how I see it. Like
that's
those
good.
words
That's
definitely relate. But when you're at a wedding, is there any particular elements that you're trying to capture in particular?
Yeah. I think for me, it's hard to describe it though, because I like the way that people look at each other. I think eyes are really important, hands as well. Like for me, it needs to look organic. It needs to look almost I'm looking for motion in photography, which is hard because that's the only thing that we don't have in photography, which is motion basically. But I want to feel like the person that see the photo can see what happened before and what's going to happen after, kind of.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of I try to get a composition or a pose that feel like it's still happening. It's not a statue. It's not two person that like pretending they froze for a second just for my photo. It is hard sometimes because, like obviously some people just get there and they get really stiff and they don't move. But that's why I try to play a lot with them and communicate a lot, because I want to capture this crazy specific moment that tell me so much about them.
And do you ever think about the overall story of a wedding when you take a specific image, or you think about a moment that you're trying to capture? Do you think of the overall story?
I try to have the overall story. So it's not easy in some weddings. I'm gonna be honest. Like in some wedding happens, some wedding are too crazy structure that you cannot really disconnect and create something in your head. But I had this couple, I think it was last year. Yeah, it was last year. And I knew a lot about them. The love story was up and down. They were kind of dramatic, but in a beautiful way. They love each other. So I went to the wedding having this perception of what I wanted to create. It was really melancholic. It wasn't a really clear love. I wanted to show it like a more like it's still happening. They are not sure. And it was beautiful because I had a whole script in my head, like with the story. So for example, I would say him, okay, you just saw, they were called Keenan and Broke. So I said, okay, you saw Broke across the street. You don't know her. You have been with no girlfriends for 5 years. You don't trust in love. You don't believe in love. And I know they was connected to their story, but I just twist it a little bit. And I said, okay, I want you to follow her, like, because you see her on the other side of the street and you know immediately that's the woman of your life, and you don't know how you're going to say hello and how you're going to introduce yourself, but it's like a magnet. You need to go and you need to talk to her and you need to convince her to get out with you. And then, because that was part of the story actually that they happened, it came naturally. I was amazed by looking at them. So I would say in 30% of my wedding, I can create something like that. In the rest, it's like, yeah, I have a few photos I want to recreate or moments that are more important, but the rest of the day, it goes a little bit more crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get a bit technical now. What sort of cameras are you shooting with? What's in your camera bag? What lenses are your go-to lenses?
Yeah, so I am quite simple with the camera gear. I don't want to have the best camera in the market or the more expensive. I had two Canon R6, which are amazing for me. And this year is the first season that I shoot with a zoom lens with a 2870 f2.
Yeah,
and I am amazed by that lens. I love it. It gives me so much freedom. It gives me so much. But like different photos, different kind of angles, it's beautiful. So I shoot the whole year with that. I haven't changed it. And then I have a lot of filters for my lens. Like I do promise, black mist. I have weird shit, that distortion, everything. I'm loving to shoot with point and shoot cameras now as well, like film cameras. I'm loving it. It's really raw. Half the time it's wrong, but I love it. I think it's like bringing me back to the time when I was doing street photography, and it was messy and it was no control over things, and I love it. And then obviously the drone, and that will be it. Like I don't use anything else like that. That's it.
Have you tried this? I don't know where it's come from. This kind of new trend of taking apart a disposable film camera lens, and there's a way of like attaching. Well, I think you can actually buy adapters now, but you can essentially take that lens and attach it onto your camera. Have you ever tried something like that? It's kind of a little bit more DIY, but it kind of has that kind of.
I am the worst person who will do yourself things. Like I am terrible. I need to buy. I cannot put a picture in my house. My wife is angry with me because it's a picture of our dogs, and I haven't put it on the wall. I'm literally the worst person for that. Don't trust me on doing anything with my hands that is not already pre-created in Japan. Like just so. So I don't. I love all cameras. But that's it. That's my limit. My limit. I love a lot of video as well. You know, like this is always. Because I love cinema. I try to film sometimes like reels or small stories like that tell a small story, and I do that a lot as well in my weddings. Like I use the R6 as well, one of them to do video sometimes. Because I think it's nice. I don't want to do a long one. I know how much work is behind videography. I don't want to get into that.
I mean, I don't blame you. It's horrible.
No, horrible. And the fact that I cannot be listening to music or a podcast while editing because I have to be listening to the audio, that will kill me. That would make me so miserable.
I mean, there are parts. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like when I'm editing a film, there are parts like the culling, the things that actually takes a while. The getting rid of all the rubbish footage.
Yeah,
because Greg just shoots because it's all Greg's stuff, and it's like I've got a film on in the background. I'm listening to podcasts, so it's not too bad, Joy. It's not too bad. It's not too bad.
Still not convinced.
Yeah, well, maybe one day I can convince you otherwise. But So you mentioned that you had you bought a zoom lens for was it this year? Last year?
Yeah, last year.
What made you do the jump to zoom lenses, and what were you shooting with before in terms of like prime lenses, and why did you make the jump?
So I was using mostly the famous combo of 35 85.
3585, yeah, okay.
Beautiful one, comfortable. And I feel like, firstly, I got really annoyed with carrying two cameras. I think people feel, it's really comfortable, but it's fucking not comfortable. It's not comfortable. I almost killed a guy one day, like a little boy, with one of my cameras because I was running behind the bride, and then, these cameras are hanging here, and I saw my camera passing like 1 centimeter by the head of the guy, and I said, okay, this is not for me. I just want one camera. I want freedom, and I want to have my focus in one camera, in one place.
Yeah.
So that was a huge part about it. Obviously, the aperture was an important thing. That I want to have a bright lens that I can use almost in no light situation, and the 2870 fixed that problem. But I just realized, when you're in a place shooting and everything is so intense, changing your camera or changing a lens is time, and I'd rather just do that with my second lens. So I just now I want to be comfortable in a wedding. I'm getting older, even though I look super young. I'm getting older. I want to be easy. I want my camera across here, and then I have my film point and shoot in my pocket, and that's it. I don't want to have anything, and I want to be able to move, and that's it. I don't want to be carrying crazy shit. So
fair.
That was the decision.
Yeah, I used to shoot on the 24-70 2.8. The 28-70, the lens that you're talking about, right? That's
I think it's a Canon specific, isn't it?
It is a Canon specific.
It's Canon.
It's a, what is it? Is it a 2?
2.
A f-stop 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've never got a chance to play with that lens. However, I famously did want it for a long, long time. But these new lenses, they sound amazing, but they are fucking
big-
massive.
yeah.
Greg, go
Yeah.
get the new lens that we just bought.
Oh, that's a good chance for me to get my charger then.
And your charger, why?
I've been watching my power drop. I need to get my charger.
Oh yeah, that definitely wouldn't be. So hang on, Joy, hang on, because we recently bought a lens as well, because we used to. Well, so I shoot with a 35.
Okay.
Sometimes I have a 55, and Greg usually shoots on the 85. But he also carries around the 70 to 200 for like church ceremonies whenever we do them, even though it's not really a thing that we do a lot of. So instead Greg decided to buy the, what was it, the 20, no, it was the 35 to 105. I mean, look at the fucking size of this thing.
Why do you don't need to join the gym anymore?
And it's so heavy. I just don't.
It is heavy.
And it's, so, I mean, yeah.
It is big, but the thing is, like, you carry one camera only now. Like for photographers, with the one lens, you only carry one camera. It is true that I realize, and I don't know if it's connected, but this is my conspiracy theory. I think it's creating a lot of problem in the lower back of photographers and videographers. Like my lower back is suffering this year. Yeah. I got like actually, a little bit of sciatica or something. I got a stroke when that never happened to me ever before. And I think it's definitely, R6 is a small camera. And the lens is way bigger than the camera. That the way go in front, and it's for the wrist and for the hand. It's not the best thing. But I still love it, and I think it's only going in a better way. Like in a few years, we're gonna see this kind of lenses getting smaller and smaller. Wow.
Yeah.
And now the ISO is not a problem anymore since Lightroom is doing all this crazy stuff. It's just getting amazing for us.
I mean, it is. I mean, having something from a 35 to 150 is pretty impressive.
I saw that it was Taylor Jackson for the last photography farm that mentioned it to us.
So it was.
And I saw somebody using it at the last photography farm, and I was like, can I play with that? I was like, nah, it's too big, too heavy. I don't want it. But over this year, I've just been like, you know what? Maybe.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful lens, though.
I do. I mean, partly, the thing that goes through my head is, in Scotland, you get a lot of rain. And if you're zooming this barrel in and out, like, if rain gets inside and it goes inside the housing...
It does claim to be water sealed.
But
when you're retracting that, I don't know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
It makes me
But
nervous.
You never know.
Moving away from tech.
Yeah, sorry.
You mentioned that you like to capture those sort of like effortless moments and fleeting moments. So it maybe goes back to minimizing your equipment and street photography, but how do you prepare yourself to be ready to capture those moments when they are so fleeting?
I think it's just to be fully present in the wedding day. Like I really fully present. Like I play for guy. I always try to have so much fun, but in the wedding day, I try to be really focused because, again, if people pay me a lot of money and I consider myself well paid, the responsibility is in my hands, and I always try to be really aware and to understand really well with my couples, so I know how they're gonna react and when something is getting emotional or when something is getting a little bit colder. So I always close to them. I always communicating with them in some way. Like sometimes it's without talking, sometimes it's talking. The thing is that they see me a part of the family in some point. That's something I think I achieve almost all the time in my weddings. So I'm really close. I am aware. I'm over there. I'm always listening to what they are feeling, thinking, saying. That's the only way. Just being really focused on them. Like no distractions, literally.
That's cool. I think that's important for sure. There's, I would, just as you were talking there, I realized I haven't asked you, or we haven't really gotten into what you offer your clients. So since we have spoken about money, and although that's not like a primary driver, I know you joked earlier, but like there is this idea of the starving artist and all that kind of stuff that I don't adhere to.
Yeah,
like, it's just not I don't know. It was romanticized maybe 10 years ago, and it's still that way. But we are in this. It is a business. We are in it to make money as well as to enjoy what we love. But what are people paying you, right, to get you at a wedding? Like, how much do you charge? What do you offer?
So it's changed a little bit depending on the place, because I don't have the same price. Sometimes I get lucky enough that I can shoot close to home, and that is amazing.
Yep.
So here at home, I start in 3,500 plus back transport and accommodation euros. And then euros. And outside Spain, which is Europe, I have a different price. We start in 4,400, and then more international than Europe, starting 5,300. And from that you can go as high as you want. I have a package that is over 12,000, and if you want it, I'll be really happy. But yeah, I do change my prices a lot. Like I think depending of the needs and all that, depending of how I feel as well. And this is a conversation that I actually have a lot with my wife. I have seen in the past that you get to a point that you charge so much that you attract a kind of client that maybe you don't want it, because they are the only one that can afford to pay you. And that's something that I don't want. And I have that really clear. Yeah, money is important, of course. I want to be feeling like I am making good money from my work. Yeah. But I want to be shooting people that I love.
Yeah.
And if the money is going to be an excuse or a barrier or a wall for that, I'd rather make a little bit less money, but I'm being way happier and being able to share every wedding that I shoot because I'm proud of it. And if I imagine charge 12K and I get this super snuff couple that they don't want to be shared, that they're going to give me problems, that they are going to call me the photographer and they're not going to remember my name, money is not worth it. Maybe money is worth it for a day, and I will go and I will be, a mercenary, shoot it, get the money back, fine. Yeah. But that won't be sustainable to have a healthy business and a happy one. So yeah, I do it that way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Moving away from money, the icky subject that is money. How do you stay inspired? Like, how do you keep that flame burning for this work? Because there is a lot of photographers out there, and there are so many amazing images. It can be hard sometimes when you're comparing yourself with others. So how do you stay? And maybe that's two topics there, like staying away from work. I don't know. Where does inspiration come from? I'm not sure. But like, how do you stay inspired?
I mean, the thing is, I am ambitious, and that's a problem sometimes because you do compare. And if you see someone that's really good, and you want to be that good or better, you get into this cycle and you will never get out of it. Yeah. So first thing is doing this exercise of just trying to be the best that you can be by natural behavior. Like, don't force yourself. You're going to be, you have your skills. And I think I'm good enough. I like what I do. My couples are happy and they are the only one who can test me. That's it. Like, I cannot compare to anyone else. My couples can do it and that's it. How do I stay creative? Doing everything that is not related with photography. Like, when I shoot, I'm really focused in photography. But when I'm not shooting, I am just doing other things. And I always say this: you are not gonna look good if you are eating shitty food. So you're not gonna take good photos if you are consuming shitty content out there. And it's you have to be a little bit clever about the people that you surround, the clothes that you wear, the books that you read, the city that you live. Everything affects you. Like everything. Like honestly, if you get used to ugly stuff, indirectly when you shoot, you are gonna do shitty things and ugly things. So I try to have a lot of fun with family, with friends, with my dogs. Nature inspired me a lot. Obviously cinema has been with me for my whole life, and I think reading as well, the right thing. So I think it's just about curating what you consume a lot. So if I'm gonna go to watch a film, one day I'm gonna watch the Marvel film and it's just pure pleasure and I know it and I just try to disconnect from another thing. Yeah. But then I'm gonna try to search for the really beautiful film, cinematography, getting into that, because at the end of the day, we can play games about inspiration is everywhere. Yeah, of course it's everywhere. But we are visual creators, so mostly is films, YouTube, that kind of things. Then obviously, I think if, for example, you have a big inner world and you read a lot, it's going to be easier for you to create the stories for your couple, for sure, because you will have it inside you. If you have been read fairy tales since you are a child, you're going to have that culture in your head that is going to be easier for you to create something. So inspiration is everywhere for me. And I am able to look at other people's work now, not getting jealous, but just admire and say, okay, that is good. That means this business is alive. I'm going to keep trying to be a little bit better. And that's it. But it's just a competition with yourself.
Yeah.
I like that.
You mentioned earlier about like personal brand and how that's important to make yourself stand out and make your work appeal to certain people. Mm-hmm. So are there any sort of practical steps that you're taking? So obviously your work speaks for itself, but is there any practical steps in the brand building, personal brand side of things that you're doing to make you stand out and sort of appeal to certain clients, or even in the education sphere and sort of stand out in that?
So what I try to do is, like, if I try to analyze what it can make people stand out or make me stand out, it's going to be really hard because I'm going to be distorted by who I am. So what I do first, I do it the other way around. I find my ideal client, and then I know, like, this is my, okay, you know, your brother, your sister, your partner, you know that they love a hot chocolate at night before watching a film, and you know that they love the blanket, and please don't leave the mug in the table, but next morning and they will get pissed. So when you know your client, in this case, when you get lucky enough to shoot a couple that is ideal, then I build all my brand around that person. And that happened to me in 2018. I had this couple that was everything I was looking for in the communication, in the energy, the flow, what I shoot. And then I said, okay, now from now on, all my communication, all my brand is not going to be creative thinking in everyone, but just thinking in this person. Only. So if I had to talk, will Ellen, who was this avatar of my ideal client, will Ellen liking me talking about bullfighting? Probably not. And if I talk about bullfighting, I should be a critic about it, not a supporter of it. So when you know exactly who your ideal client looks like, even if you never had it, but you can write the avatar of your ideal client, right? Like, they live in London, they're really cool, they are really into electronic music, they go to a small shop to buy comics, and then they say, okay, I know now the kind of logo that I'm gonna create. I know now the way that I'm gonna communicate. I know now through which media I'm gonna promote myself, because they maybe don't care about being featured in Vogue because they will never read Vogue. So where are those gonna clients be, and how I'm gonna adapt my communication, my skills to portray the best service for them. And that's the way that you can deconstruct and build your brand around something that is more safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder if there's going to be a lot of talk about ideal client. I know some people like that term. Others don't really gel with it. But I think the way that you put it, like having a client in mind and being able to talk to them, I think is a really powerful way of like marketing yourself. And not like just in a business way, but just like connecting with the people that you want to connect with. And I think that's really important, especially like you said, you want to work with the people that you want to work with. And so it's a choice, isn't it? It's a choice. Like, the ideal client is a confusing thing. And I think everyone has their standard. And also there will be people that don't care about the ideal client. There will be people that they just care about money, and it's completely fair. Like, if you only care about money and they're paying you, that's your ideal client. Whoever pays you is your ideal client. If you are more like me or you, but maybe you care more as well about social relationship and the feeling that you get from the couple, or the work that you can portray, and you know you're going to be better if you're shooting someone that you love and that you are connected to. So for me, the ideal client is going to be a different version than you, but we don't have to get obsessed. I didn't know. I spent 5 years of my career without knowing
who was my ideal client. And
Yeah.
probably in the next 3 years, it's going to change probably a little bit, because we change as people, as creators, and things that you liked in the past, you don't like anymore. So your client is going to change as well, because you change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you've been in it for, more than 5 or whatever years. Once you get
Yeah.
out of the early stages of your career and you're thinking long term, it's like, yeah, okay, let's start creating genuine connections and all that kind of stuff. I want to talk about your post workflow, because obviously you're working with the people who you want to work with, you have those genuine connections, but are you culling with AI, or are you doing everything by hand? Like, what's important to you when you have all your images from a wedding and they're there and you start working on them? Like, what's your process?
So I am using AI now. I'm
Okay.
using after a shoot, because I am into a lot of projects. Not only the wedding photography, the education take a lot of time. I have other things as well I want to do. But I do check it out after, like manually as well. I like
Yeah.
it. I just don't trust it fully yet. Like it's doing my job. It's doing the job quite well, but I always like to be on control of everything. So I feel like by the amount of money that my clients pay, it's worth it for me to put the time into checking out everything. So I do it. I think honestly, like in a few years, it's going to be to the level that we won't have to do it. But I want to believe in that kind of a little bit more classic. In that way, I want to believe that still it will be hard for AI to interpret what I really want from my photos and what to choose and what not to choose. And maybe I am a kind of person that love imperfection, and I don't know if imperfection is loved by AI. So still there. I mean, this is a huge revolution, and I don't want to feel like I'm the stupid guy who say, I want to do that. And then in 5 years, you realize that the whole market is working with AI, and you are not. You don't understand the technology.
Yeah.
So I want to understand it, and I want to use it to my advantage. But I wouldn't give it my heart yet. Like,
I get
slowly.
that.
Slowly.
You mentioned like, maybe in 3 years changing what you thought, the people that you wanted to connect with, who they are. Do you think that AI is going to prevent people from evolving as photographers? Like, because obviously it takes quite a lot of information to train AI to a specific style. Do you think people would be less inclined to try new things because of the amount of training? Like, if they have an AI workflow, a couple of years down the line, they think, you know what, my work is light and airy, but I want to go darker. I'm now feeling in a dark mood. Do you think that change is going to be harder for people?
I feel for some will be. I think if everything gets really standard and we get lazy and we don't put the time to, as creative, we change because we are doing a repetitive thing, and eventually we get bored of that way of doing it, and we want something new, and we change and we evolve. I think those people that just will rely on AI and don't give anything more personal, they will disappear from the market, or at least not get the best market. So AI will be to avoid all the annoying part of our work that is repetitive and stupid that we shouldn't be doing. But you had to put that time somewhere else. It's not like, okay, now I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to go home and play PlayStation. Great. But then the competition is going to be somewhere else. And probably the competition is going to be in the branding, in how much status you can provide to your client, and how much you care about the service and the experience that you're giving to your client, or how much you're risking. Because if we get to this situation where AI make everything look like really similar, whoever is the craziest one that decides to do everything on film again, or whatever it is gonna be, rich people want weird stuff. They have everything. They want to stand out. Why is photography famous again? Because it's expensive. Not everyone have it. It gives you a status and it gets trendy. So we could perfectly see people in 5 years selling packages that will say, this is handmade edited. No AI has been used in this thing, and that would be set as a high point. So we will see that for sure. We will see that for sure. Like people saying, yeah, I am a handcraft. This is craftsman work. And that will be a nice and beautiful way. So I think it's going to open a lot of opportunities. Yeah. And we'll see a lot of different ways of making business. Guys, one fast thing. Sorry.
Go for it.
My camera battery is dying. What should I do? I can change it, but it's going to take me a minute.
Yeah, you change it and we'll just hang on. So Greg, Thrive. I'm excited for it. Are you excited for it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Changing it up a wee bit this year, new locations.
Yeah, Dunglass and what was it?
Going to London instead of Brighton.
London, baby. Yeah, I am looking forward to Thrive. If you haven't bought your I know Lisa's probably thinking, this is a great time to sell tickets, you two, sell tickets, mention Thrive. Yes, Thrive is happening on the 18th and 19th of March for those in Scotland who want to come up to the Dunglass estate. And on the 21st and the 22nd of March in London at the Hoxton Holborn Hotel.
Yeah.
Which will be really fun. So two totally different vibes of
it'll be interesting.
Conference. So yeah. And it'll be good to see everyone. It'll be good to hear the people speaking and to do the shoot sessions and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So definitely go and buy your tickets.
And now let's get back to Joy. His camera's back up and running.
Yes, thank you, Joy.
So this might be hard to do because what we're just talking about with AI and tech, how that will change. So taking that part of it out, you're 10 years into your photography career. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Are you still doing weddings?
Oof. Oh, I will. If my health allows me and I don't get too old too fast with the 24/70, I see myself really, really curating my weddings, like really being able to choose the best projects I can get into it. I hopefully will be still good enough to be competitive, but I think I will. I have the will to do it. I see myself a lot with education as well. Because it's something that I love and I think I can help a lot of people. So mixing those things with having a more chill life, probably traveling a little bit less because I do travel a lot right now. Okay. And I want to settle down a little bit. But yeah, weddings are really, I was actually trying to explain what weddings are to a friend last night. And it's like the kind of adrenaline that you get, I think it's like a football player. Like when you do weddings, it's really hard to get away from them. I don't know if it's not for everyone, but I love it. And I love it and I hate it at the same time. And I don't know if that makes sense. But when you have been in a wedding for 10 hours, the only thing that you want to get is into your car and get to your bed. And there is a lot of hotels and flights and nights alone somewhere. But it's kind of exciting. So yeah, I see myself shooting less, bigger projects, really curated, maybe choosing really well the couple, the place, the location. Maybe I even think about building my own team. I never thought about building my own team.
Okay.
But why not? Why not? Yeah. I think I will be a cool boss, or maybe not. Maybe a dictator, maybe a tyrant. But who knows?
That's cool. Yeah, I love that. In fact, we're speaking to a whole load of people on the podcast who have done just that and have been, they found success in it. So that's cool.
Yeah. So I think it's cool.
Go for it. Go for it. Fuck yeah.
Let's see.
Do you have any dream projects or collaborations that you've got in your mind that you're excited for this year, next year?
I mean, next year I have been invited to a few workshops, and for so long, I thought that the responsibility of creating the workshop was mine, and now I'm feeling so happy just going to workshop and speak there and creating community. So I'm really happy doing that. I'm gonna be like in 6 different countries next year, teaching, and that's really exciting. I love working with a lot of people. Also, I want to create my own. The two projects I am really passionate right now, aside of photography, is the podcast as well. I had a podcast in Spanish, so I think, guys, you know how much fun it is to do a podcast.
Yeah,
it's
I love podcasts.
It's I always consuming them. I think it's so nice. It's putting people together talking.
Yeah.
I think it's the best thing in the world, honestly. So I love my podcast just for fun. I don't know where it's gonna go. Even I mean, it's really hard to make money with a podcast.
Yeah.
But I don't care. It's just fun. It's just fun.
Yeah.
I want to push YouTube as well. I want to become a content creator. I think, whatever I see and that excites me, if I consume YouTube and I consume YouTubers, next day I am like, fuck, I want to be one as well. and I try it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I love to try things. So that will be a project. And also I want to do, and this is a project that I want to do. I don't know if I will do it next year, but if I have time, I'll try to do it. But I want to really build a really good workshop in Spain. Bringing people that I love. It's really hard to innovate in the workshop world because honestly, a lot of things has been done. But I think I can change some things, a specific concrete thing. But hopefully I will do it as well.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Keep an eye out for that. Is the YouTube stuff, is that in Spanish as well? Same as the podcast?
Yeah, it's in Spanish because I don't want to fight with the English monsters. There's too many huge educators out there. I have this accent. I don't even know how I sound in English, but it's I'd rather be, this is the best marketing tip that I got, and it's be the big fish in the small pond.
Yep.
And I think the pond of Spanish is big enough, and I have a lot of good friends in the English American community. They are amazing, and they know better the market that I do, and so I'm more focused in the Spanish Latin American one, which is a huge market.
Yeah, it's massive.
And not many people are yet like super professional there. There's a lot of really talented people, but not many that take it too seriously to build a whole brand and business around it. So I want to be the one.
Yeah, definitely.
Hell yeah.
So obviously education is a big part of your business. So what is the one core piece of advice you would give to someone, say they were just starting out this month in wedding photography?
Okay. So the first one, it will be nothing that you do related with photography is going to make you successful. Everything that is related with people will make you successful. So I see a lot of people trying to find all the solution now on internet, and they despair if they don't grow in social media, if they don't get clients through Google, and they don't know what to do, and they stand in front of the computer looking at it miserably, thinking, what's going on? And it's like, you get out there and you build human relationship with the right people, and you surround yourself with the most inspiring people that you can, and from there you're gonna work. But there is a lot of, I was listening the other day to a podcast as well, and they were saying, just think about this. Like before, let's say 1995 or 1999, every person that becomes successful in the world and they became rich and they were great in their job, they did it by talking to people in the real world. There was no internet. So why we think the internet is the only way now to be successful, to find clients, to become a photographer? If you are strong creating relationship with people, and obviously you keep the passion for photography, because there is something that I want to make it really clear. And as an educator, this sounds harsh sometimes, but I think we have to be honest. We sell photography, we sell videography. If your product, your service is not good, it's going to be way, way harder to sell it. If you have a restaurant and your food is shit, you can have a good marketing for a while, but after a month, it's more likely that people don't go there.
Yeah.
So no matter what, you have to always have an eye on to your craft and try to be disruptive, better, and just keep doing it. But that goes people with the good people in your side, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was a good message. I liked it.
My favorite section of this podcast is about to happen. It's called Show and Tell, where I have picked 3 of your images that I love.
All right.
And I want to hear the story behind them.
Okay.
So
Oh my
You
god!
can first
this
of all,
is so cool.
you can see the screen, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Always
I'm really
need to-
excited about this.
Always need to double check. So, when are you gonna?
Did you have an order?
You're
Did you have
gonna,
an order?
you're
to
gonna
these?
go for 3 first, you maniac! All right. So I don't know anything about these images that I've selected.
Okay.
But I've picked
What's going on?
3 images. Tell me about this image here.
Okay. So this is actually probably the hardest wedding I ever shoot. Not because of any technical stuff, but because the couple was going through a really bad time. Really bad time. They was till the same day they were thinking about canceling the wedding and not having a ceremony. It was couple stuff. Okay.
Damn.
Sadly, it got into the wedding day. So it was a really strong atmosphere, and you could feel like in any moment everything could blow. So you are in that moment between trying to do the photos and being a nice person and understanding everyone's energy. So this is the father of the bride. The bride has been in the top room in this villa in Marrakesh, quite isolated, and she had a hard story with the father as well. So they were, loving and hating, same level kind of. So I knew she was going to come down, but I thought that the face wasn't going to be the important thing because, it's too obvious. So I just wanted to capture from the side of the father, like how the father, I think that tells me then of the story if I shoot the father. I just want to see that she was ready to go ahead, start forgetting the father, being together. So I think that moment is like, okay, I'm again your daughter, I'm again your baby, I'm getting married, bring me to the altar.
Yeah.
And that's why I shoot it like that. You cannot see the bride. Yeah, you can see that it's almost there. Obviously, it's a series of photos that they are the one that they hug and everything, but
Yeah.
I think it was better like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your choice for black and white? Because obviously you've got this huge amount of negative space, obviously, and then quite
Yeah,
severe
I think
lines.
the light was so beautiful, and the texture on the background it was so
Yeah.
important. Also, the window was on the left, so the window on the left was massive, but it didn't make any sense for me for the father to look to the light because then there won't be no connection between them both.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I want to feel it like it's just because I think it's such a private moment. That it's like almost you're looking through a keyhole and you see this moment that you shouldn't see. And I think, I don't know why, but it reminds me to an old moment. And I say, okay, black and white is going to be more temporal than color. Color sometimes it's distracting of the emotion. I think the hands stand out way more over the dark background because of the black and white.
Yeah.
And that was like the most important part for me.
Yeah. The reason I chose this image is because of what you don't see. And like you said, obviously you've hid the bride here. That was the kind of the element that I really loved about this.
Yeah, it was fun.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so I love it.
I love,
Next
I
image,
love
Greg.
that photo.
Next, whatever you want. Oh yeah. So this one.
Oh, Gabi.
Greg, get a grip of yourself.
Oh,
Greg, get a grip of
Oh my
yourself.
God,
What are you doing?
Is that how it's supposed to be?
Oh, great. That's how it's supposed to be.
Our audio listeners are like, what's going on? He's flipped the image completely upside down. Okay,
we go.
there we go. Okay, so
Nah.
I believe there was a couple of images from this moment again, like you said earlier, but I picked this one because it's kind of weird that you've left this in the gallery, and that's what I like about it. Everyone's closing their eyes. Some people are in very severe sunlight, and you've got the bridesmaid at the back in shadow, and everyone's pulling different faces and looking in different directions. I'm assuming because the sun is directly in their face, you're getting them to close their eyes so they can all open at the same time and have an image. I'm just assuming. I don't know.
Yeah. It was
But
fun.
yeah, tell me the story behind this image.
So this is Gabi. She's Gabi, the bride. She was amazing, and she hasn't seen the bridesmaids. So one of her is a sister, A few of them are bridesmaids, and she hasn't seen them in so much time. Again, it was a really weird dynamic that day. They love each other, but they were, all over the place. And I said, girls, because they were taking care a lot of Gabby. They were taking care a lot of her. And I love it. And I love it as a bridesmaid. Sometimes they just showing off, but they were really caring about her. I said, okay, I want to take a cool photo, but Gabby, honestly, I want you to be the only cool one. I don't care about what the other people are doing. We'll take the perfect photo later, but I just want to feel like you are surrounded by weird friends. We all have weird friends, all of us. Probably your best friends are the weirdos, and I didn't want to make them look. And she was constantly telling me through the day, oh, my friends are so weird, they're gonna do crazy stuff today. I say, okay, let's take them as they are. I don't want them to, because you could tell so easily. And I actually had a photo as well, looking cool, look badass, look at camera sexy. And in this photo, say, Gabby, I want you to be the only one that is cool. You are meditating, you are chilling. Let them, and actually I put them in that situation because I knew it was going to be harsh for some, and some people it was going to be in the shadows.
Yeah.
But yeah, it focused also more the attention on her. She looks so perfect and so beautiful, and then everyone else is a little bit more messy, and that's who we are. We pretend, obviously, the wedding day is about you are the cool one, everyone else is there for you. So that was what I tried to get with the photo.
Yeah. And there's a few of these type of images on your website, the kind of I'm going to steal John Dolan's, the imperfect perfectness of an image, It's
he's a master. He's a master.
Yeah.
And I think the perfect photos are so boring right now. Oh, I get it. I get it. I respect every single photo. And for example, in the technical stuff, I see some people I don't know, let's say, for example, Jose Villa, who shoots perfectly. You see the photos in film. It's oh my God, how? The bride looks perfect. She look like a doll. And I do admire that kind of photography because honestly talking, I wouldn't even know how to take a photo to that level. I wouldn't know, even more in film. So I love it. But that's not me. That's not me.
Yeah.
I'm really imperfect. I don't want to pretend I am perfect. I'm always joking with my couples. I am saying things that I wasn't supposed to say because that's who I am. And they love me because of that. So obviously there's going to be a little of imperfection in my photo, and that's happy. I'm doing consciously. There's nothing if it's imperfect, it catches attention. And yeah, perfect photos right now for me are, I get bored.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. I'm very excited because there's a few, nearly everyone, to be honest, has that kind of imperfectness about their work. I'm very excited to speak to John. I'm very excited to speak to Brooke.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
he's just.
I was doing the pre-show notes for Brooke Johnson, and her work's incredible as well. I'm very excited to speak to her.
It's a good lineup.
It's a good lineup. Well done, Lisa. Well done. Next image, Greg.
It's amazing.
Let's see if we can do this without flipping it.
So easy. So I picked this image because
hands again.
Hands again. That's right. I love telling stories either in a sequence or just in a single image with showing less. And I feel like hands especially have such a strange narrative. You can just tell so much with hands. Whether it's of despair or hope or all sorts of things. So, I'm a big fan of direct light as well. So why I like this image is just hands reaching for each other, playing with light, playing with shadows. The focus isn't on the people, but just of something that's happening maybe out of mind of a lot of people, Not everyone sees the world in these little moments that almost don't happen to those who aren't looking, So tell me the story of this image.
Yeah, so they were obviously really handsome, really beautiful couple. But I already had a bunch of photos that were perfect. I wanted to, again, I was, this wedding is beautiful. I got all the photos that I was supposed to take. But I need something else. I need something that stand out, that tell me a story where they are not the characters. And the thing I love about this photo is that, again, if your imagination is open to you can tell 100 different stories with this photo. You can be, he's trying to reach to her because she's saying goodbye. She's leaving. She doesn't want to be anymore there. And he's trying to grasp her and keep her there and convince her. Or it could be the opposite. It could be like he's flirting. She's flirting with him and he already understood the sign and is going to touch her. So I love when it's open to interpretation. And I think we had to feel like our clients or the people that are going to look the photos, they are clever and they can interpret it and they can see the depth on photos. And sometimes I think not to make it obvious about what's going on is beautiful. So I think in this photo, sometimes I'm too busy that I don't realize, but when you have the time to actually see the shadows and see the details, and that is something actually really good of the 2870, which is like maybe I can crop a lot with the 70 and I just got to a really specific moment and change my vision in a specific second. So yeah, I love hands and there is always things happening. I think it's really important to put yourself in a really uncomfortable position and shooting things out you were not supposed to shoot and just shoot. And then look from this wedding, this is my favorite photo. And look at them, like you don't see that. So
And so this, and again, this comes down to like being a storyteller, is like taking these images and what you just said about how you can interpret this image. It's also how you interpret the next image. You know, when you put them in a sequence. I think is it Alfred? Hitchcock.
Alfred
Hitchcock.
Hitchcock.
Jesus Christ. There's a very interesting experiment where he's got a shot of himself and it's the image before is of a very beautiful woman, and then it's the same image again, but the image beforehand is something else, and it totally changes the tone of the image of him. Yeah. So, as storytellers, it's thinking about moments kind of in an abstract way.
Yeah.
And then being able to tell stories.
It's a huge influence, I think, from street photography as well, because this photo will be something that will take in street photography as well. And, the crazy thing about street photography is usually when you see a photo, you don't understand nothing of what happened after and what happened before because there is no context. So with just one single photo, we need to create the whole story, and probably it's completely wrong and we have no idea what actually is happening. We do have the chance of actually telling the whole story, but sometimes it's even nice if you're going to do a post or you're going to create a newsletter and you just want to release one photo to keep the people with the mystery of not knowing what is next. And that's a massive strategy for marketing, like just keeping people with the question is always great. So I see it that way as well.
I found it really hard actually to select 3 images of yours, but there was this one and one other that kind of had the same sort of idea, and I'm not sure if this is genuinely the case, but there was an image of yours and it was like a focus on a flower, and in the background out of focus was what looked like a couple and they're reading their vows. It looked like their vows. I don't actually do you know the image I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know the photo. Photo. They're Keenan and Broke.
Was that during their vows, or because
I don't think so. I think it was on over the shooting, but the same thing. It was what they represent for me. It was what they represent for me, and in some point I already had the photos of them, but I said, okay, I need something different. I want to create something more specific. And if I'm not wrong, is this one? Oh, sorry. Here.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. So like you can see then the motion and that, but again, the flower was rose. She actually was wearing a pink dress. It wasn't white. And I saw the connection, and also because they are biologists and they are really into flowers and all that, I think, okay, this is the moment. But it's also they were so blooming. They were blooming in love. I never had a couple like them in the way of connection. It was incredible. And for me, they were like blooming, and that rose was blooming as well. So I said, okay, it just made sense. And I think, there's so many metaphor that you can put between the flowers and the tenderness and the softness and the beauty, and the kind of kiss that they were having. It's like a new rebirth of the relationship. So I said, okay, I just don't want to be obvious. I'd rather have a photo that people don't understand, that I'm the only one who understand, than doing something that is boring for me. And I always say this as well, and maybe it's selfish, but I shoot my weddings for me, because
love it. Yeah.
If I am really happy with what I create, I know my couples are going to be even happier. So I try to be selfish in the way that I want to get what I want to get. And then obviously if you need extra stuff or some time, I'm happy to do that. But let me do what I want, what I can do for you, because that's when I'm going to perform the best. And like this couple, actually, that photo that I show you with the rose is the one that they have it printed at home massively, and you cannot see them really. And it doesn't matter. Like, imagine when you show your kids or your grandchildren that photo in 40 years and say, look, like, I want to think about it as a piece of art for them, definitely for them. Maybe not to be in a museum, of course, but for them and for that house and for their story, it's a piece of art. And that's what we can do. We don't need to be in a museum. For me, the best museum is of someone's house. So.
Yeah. We were speaking to another photographer from Sky, and they were talking about how when they were getting married, and it resonated with me as well, that when you're saying your vows, or when you're standing up on the altar, you can't really see the world outside of like a space of like a meter bubble. It really is this kind of weird, surreal moment that you have, imperfect moments. And I love images that show the world around a couple that isn't that, like, for example, they're giving their vows or something. I want to see what's happening around them at that very important moment of their life. Could be something small, a flower, could be something small, a bird, but like what's happening in their world that maybe they're not even noticing. And I love those kind of images. So
there's also something to be said for like a potential couple that are looking at your images, and if they stumble across this, they'll subconsciously be imagining themselves as that couple. Like, what will our photos look like if we book him? And it's easier to do when you have that sort of unknown. You can't see the couple's face. There's a lot missing. So it's easier for them to go, oh, that could be us.
It's also imagine, like we said at the start of the podcast, like how to use your introversion to connect with the right client. Well, this photo connect with an introvert, because they don't need to be the protagonist. They don't need it. The face, it doesn't need it. So if you are an introvert, usually you have that sensibility to understand this photo and to want it, this photo. So you just, again, you were thinking, okay, if I, like, some people wouldn't share this photo, like they would be, okay, it's great, it's nice, but I wouldn't share it. I have this photo in my pricing page, which is the most important page of my website, and it's the first photo that I see, and it's a statement. So
so I love this image. And for all those audio listeners who can't see these images,
go to YouTube.
Go to our YouTube and look. I know it's not very helpful, but hopefully the conversation that we have around these images is useful.
If you are listening to Spotify, just open the app, because it's on video on Spotify as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if you're listening on Apple, well, you've made a fucking crap decision, haven't you? Just like I do. I listen on Apple. I can't get the video, so yeah. But that's another show and tell. Wonderful. Elise, I can hear Lisa Devlin's voice in the back of my head. Talk about the workshop. People can book shoot sessions. We're back to this fucking pronouncing shoot sessions again. What can people expect when they go to shoot with you?
Well, they can expect the unexpected. And that's everything they want. I want them, I feel like when you go to our show, you expect that the person that is going to be there trying to teach something is going to be a wise person that's going to give you that piece of advice that is going to change your career. If that's what you want, don't come with me, honestly.
If you don't want a wise person.
no, I'm definitely not a wise person. I'm gonna try to teach people how to be messy and experiment and risk and taking risks without altering or affecting the shooting. Like, you can be risky, you can take risks, you can be innovate, you can really connect with a couple. I always ask my couples, what's the thing after the wedding that you enjoy the most? They always tell me that was the experience of actually shooting with me, the way that I made them feel. So that's what I want to teach people, how to actually get your couples to a really good mind frame to be able of creating something that remains for longer and stand out. If they come, I mean, I'm happy with one person, I don't care. But it's about giving everything that you are. I think as an educator, I have no closed doors ever. Like, I want to be the person that I wanted to be help when I started and I didn't have. So I'm gonna be there to teach everything I know, basically, and hopefully have fun, good connection. This job, as many others, is just about understanding people. Yeah. And I want them to come there and to try to see the people that they had in front of the camera as people and not a subject that we had to photograph and that's it. So they're going to have fun. Then probably will have some beer. So definitely the people that came with me, I want to be having some fun.
Yeah,
that's what I can promise.
Awesome.
I'm sure you'll have more than one person on your sessions.
For sure.
So in wrapping up, you mentioned that you went down a rabbit hole kind of recently about personal development books. Is there any book, whether it's personal development or business, that you would recommend to someone?
Okay, do we have an hour?
We've already been going for almost two.
Okay, I'm gonna say the three best that have helped me the most, and if people read this one, they will be really happy. So the first one is How to Make Friends and Influence People. I love that book.
Yeah,
I love that book.
Classic.
I read it all the time, and it's just so much knowledge over there. There is another one is You Are a Badass with Money from Jen Sincero. Okay. That book changed my career for sure. And I never say this, it's like, a book changed my life. Well, this book actually changed it. What else? This one for concentration and it's called Deep Work, and it's really good. And in this society that we live now, that we are all multitasking, we are doing 100 things at the same time. It's about the value.
Joy, you there?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, sorry, you broke up there.
Okay, I said about deep work.
Deep work, yes.
Deep work is amazing. If you want to concentrate, it's going to change your brain, basically.
Yeah. Is that by Cal Newport?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been on my list for a while, but I've never actually got round to listen to it. Too distracted.
It's really good. Exactly. You have to get over that. It's really good.
Cool. Awesome. All good recommendations. Well, I'm going to check that one out.
Yeah, I've actually not heard about that. I hadn't heard, was it You're a Badass with Money either?
That book is insane. It's just, all the limiting belief that we have, all the system about money that we create that made us reject money or be uncomfortable with money or not taking risk. Yeah. So it's really good.
Yeah. Cool. Maybe get that on a wee download as well. Well, Joy, thank you very much for coming onto the podcast. It's been almost 2 hours, so we really do appreciate your time. And I know Lisa Devlin also will be very grateful that you came on to talk to us.
It was so much fun, guys. Like, you have done really well. I have done a few podcasts, but this is my favorite, and it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It was so much fun.
You're just saying that. You're just saying that.
I say it to everyone.
So where can people find you online?
Go to Instagram at Joy Zamora Photo. They can find me there and send me a DM. I'm happy to. I'm always answering to everyone. If you write Joy Zamora on YouTube, I have his channel, but it's small for now and it's Spanish. So I will say Instagram is the best way to connect with me. Yeah.
Very cool. And definitely check out Joy's website because it's pretty Looks pretty good. I really
It's gonna be.
going
It's
through
gonna
it.
be even prettier in the future. I'm working on something, so stay tuned.
Oh, ooh, exciting. And people can find us at perspectivebycinemate.com. Our Instagram is at perspectivebycinemate, or just Cinemate Films on Instagram. Thank you very much for sponsoring us with Jack. If you don't have insurance, definitely go check out Ashley Baxter over at With Jack, because she's very passionate. She's very passionate about insurance, and she's also very. I've never seen anyone fight for claims as much as Ashley has. Honestly, so yeah. And are you ready for Thrive? Fucking I am. Get ready for a 2-day workshop, an all-star photography conference taught by 6 phenomenal mentors. On the 18th and 19th of March at Dunglass Estate in Scotland, and for London it's the 21st to 22nd of March at the Hoxton Holborn. The Hoxton Holborn, sorry. Yeah, very exciting to see what comes out of that. The two venues are very different from each other.
Yeah.
So one's a city vibe, one's a kind of like Scottish estate. Scottish estate. I said that really Scottish there. Apologies. So yeah, I can't wait to see you all there.
Yeah.
If you have liked this conversation, you can hit subscribe at youtube.com/@perspectivebycinemate. You can also hear us wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Apple or Spotify. We hope to see you in the next episode. However,
In the meantime,
enjoy your life.
enjoy your Thrive.